Welcome to the Lost Classics. It's that time of the year again. There's a chill in the air, pumpkins in every supermarket, and crossdressers all across the world are gearing up for the next Rocky Horror Show. Also, it's time for the annual Horrorthon festival in the IFI. Although Horrorthon is known for attracting such great horror filmmakers as Sergio Stivaletti, Joe Pilato, and Kenny Faree in recent years, this year's festival sees an even greater coup, with Michael Biehn of The Terminator and Aliens attending 3 days of the festival, along with his co-star co-producer partner Jennifer Blank Biehn, who you may remember from Dark Angel. Filmmaker Tim Sullivan will also be in attendance. As mentioned in last year's video, neither I or anyone else here at the Lost Classics have anything to do with the running of Horrorthon. Rather, it's Ed King and Lorcan Down Kelly and the people in the IFI who deserve all the credit for it. Rather, the purpose of this video is to try and give you an indication of what kind of films will be shown and what to expect. And hopefully, if you're sitting on the fence about whether to go to see one or two of the films, hopefully this video will try to encourage you to check out at least one of them. It's a brilliant lineup this year. Unlike last year where I covered every film that was shown on the lineup, this year I'm not even going to try to attempt to cover all 30 plus films that are shown over the 4 days. Rather, I'll be talking about the films that both myself and a few of the other guys here at the Lost Classic will be checking out over the 4 days. The films that we're most curious about and most excited about seeing, whether it's for the first time or the first time on the big screen. First up is the opening film, The Awakening. I don't know a whole lot about it except that it's based in early 20th century England and it seems a bit like the others. McNulty from The Wire is in it though, so it could be good. What I'd be most excited about though is the short film that's accompanying it. Tim Sullivan produced it. It's an adaptation of the Stephen King short story One for the Road. But the great thing about it is that Reggie Phantasm Bannister is in it, and it'd be great to see him in something because, to be honest with you, I haven't seen him in anything since Bubba Hotep. Wicker Tree is the spiritual successor, don't say sequel, to Robin Hardy's 1973 classic The Wicker Man. It's very interesting because Robin Hardy's returning as director and Christopher Lee's returning for a role in the film as well. I think The Wicker Man was actually his favourite film that he was in. It's a bit sad because Edward Woodward's not around unfortunately, and it would have been great to have seen Edward Woodward and Christopher Lee reunited in the film. Following that is Kidnapped, which seems like a typical home invasion movie, but it's a Spanish horror film, and when you think about films like Wreck, Devil's Backbone, and The Orphanage, Spain really seems like the hotbed for horror, the way that, like, in the mid-70s to early 80s Italy was. If you haven't already seen it, there's no better time to check out the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I find it kind of weird that it's actually being shown at 1 o'clock in the day, but if you've only seen the original, it's nothing like the original, even though it's made by Toby Hooper as well. It's far more slapstick, and all I can say is Dennis Hopper is just amazing in it. He is the Lord of the Harvest after all. Every year Horrorthon shows a couple of classic movies which, if they're not direct horror films, they definitely have a strong horror undertone. This year they're showing Clint Eastwood's directorial debut, Play Misty for Me. Play Misty for Me was made the same year that he made Dirty Harry with Don Siegel, and Don even appears as a bartender in this film. It's kind of like a template for Adrian Lyne's film Fatal Attraction, the one with Glenn Close and Michael Douglas. I prefer Play Misty for Me to Fatal Attraction. I might be in the minority here, but who knows, maybe it's because I like bunny rabbits. Last year they showed Brian De Palma's Carrie. This year they're showing a film he made 5 years later called Blowout. Blowout shows a lot of De Palma's Hitchcock influence, but it's actually a retread of a 1966 Italian movie called Blow Up starring David Hemmings. It's not necessarily a political thriller, but it definitely has a bit of espionage around it. I think it's excellent. John Travolta's in it, and it's proof, if proof were needed, of why Travolta was Brian De Palma's favourite actor of that time. John Lithgow and Nancy Allen are also in it. On Friday night they're showing a midnight double bill of The Exterminator and Maniac Cop. The Exterminator is a really good vigilante film, a lot like the Charles Bronson movie Death Wish. It's directed by James Glickenhaus, who went on to produce Basket Case 2 and 3 before directing McBain, which was the Vietnam War film starring Christopher Walken that did not have Russian roulette in it. The Exterminator's very good, if only for the physical effects and a great little scene with Christopher George of City of the Living Dead fame where he cooks a hot dog with a light bulb. Yeah, it kinda has to be seen. Maniac Cop is directed by William Lustig, who just a few years before had directed the Tom Savini gorefest Maniac. This film's not as intense as that one. The coolest thing about it is that it's starring both Tom Atkins and Bruce Campbell, and every time I see those two cult icons, I'm just amazed that both of them are on screen at the same time and the world does not explode. Robert Lazar is also in it, but he's not really in the same category, really, is he? The only sad thing about watching on the big screen is you can't watch it with the Bruce Campbell commentary. I remember hearing this commentary years ago, and it's just hilarious about how he talks about being in the film and there not being a script, and Sam Raimi's role in it, and that the coroner was Adolf in Surf Nazis Must Die. Yeah, definitely check it out. I think actually, I'm not sure, but I'd say part of the reason why both these films are shown is that they've both been released. Arrow Video have just released both of them on Blu-ray. Flash Gordon's been shown on a Saturday morning. Jesus. Oh god. They're showing Troll 2. Last year they showed Plan 9 from Outer Space, allegedly the best worst film ever made. I think Troll 2 is the best worst film ever made. Better than The Room.
You need me. Oh my god!
Dark Crystal is the choice for a children's Halloween film at Horrorthon, and I for one don't think it's a great choice. I mean, the Skeksis in this film scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. It's a really good movie. It's if you think Jim Henson, if you just think The Muppets, Fraggle Rock, that's Jim Henson. Definitely watch this film. Labyrinth, which stars Jennifer Connelly and David Bowie, is probably more well known, but The Dark Crystal, there's a mythology there that is just, you just have to check it out for yourself. Really, try and watch it if you can. I've already talked about the significance of Katsuhiro Otomo's Akira over on the Lost Classics website, and how we wouldn't have movies like, definitely wouldn't have The Ghost in the Shell without Akira, and we wouldn't have movies like Matrix without Akira. I'd even go on further and say we wouldn't have animated movies such as Shrek or Toy Story, which can also apply to adults, without Akira. It's an amazing film. It really blew my mind when I first saw it when I was about 14. I'd say if there's one film that, if you're going to go see a film during Horrorthon and you're around Dublin on Saturday and you've never seen it, go out and watch Akira. I mean, Simon Pegg even talked about it in the Space TV series, as you have to see it on a big screen. Chillerama is a film that I'm really looking forward to seeing. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Trauma movies. Adam Green and Tim Sullivan are amongst the filmmakers of this anthology film. It's kind of like a portmanteau film, like Tales of Terror and the Amicus films, although it has things like Eric Roberts going up against a Godzilla that's actually a giant sperm. I'm really looking forward to it. I'd say it'll be fun anyway. Definitely with the Horrorthon crowd, this is one to definitely watch. There's also going to be a 30th anniversary screening of Halloween 2. And of all the Halloween sequels, I feel that Halloween 2 is the most worthwhile, in that it starts at the exact instant that the previous film ends. Some people don't like it for that reason, and that they say it explains too much of the mythology and there's no more open endings. Other criticisms include that Jamie Lee Curtis has very little to do in the film, and that it's far more violent than the first one. And the truth is that even though Rick Rosenthal directed it, John Carpenter's fingerprints are all over it. Much like The Fog, John Carpenter saw a screening of Halloween 2, saw that it didn't work. He went back and he added a lot of violent footage for it, and I feel it does work because of that. It's based mainly around a hospital. It's like Exorcist 3, it's pretty creepy that way. And even though it's very much of the slasher era, it's well worth watching. As mentioned earlier, Michael Bihn's going to be on hand during 3 of the days of the festival, introduce 3 of his films. The first of which is The Victim, which is also co-starring and co-produced by his partner Jennifer Blanc Biehn. I've been talking about this film for quite some time over at the Lost Classics, and to be honest with you, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's kind of a grindhouse kind of film. It's co-starring the great cult actress Danielle Harris from the Halloween series. Michael's playing a character named Kyle, just like Kyle Reese in The Terminator, so it'll be interesting to see what way this film turns out. I'm really looking forward to it, I have to say. And apart from that, they're showing The Divide, which is also another new film. It's kind of set in a post-apocalyptic dystopian future. I Any reviews I've seen of it have compared it to Fallout 3, and I love that game, and I really like Michael acting. I've never made any secret over the Lost Classics that he's my favourite actor. So I just hope that there'll be a chance over the weekend for either autographs or a photograph with Michael without being too imposing. It'd be great just to get some of that memorabilia with such a great icon of the genre. And on the final day, the closing film of Horrorthon is Aliens. They're going to show a 60mm print of Aliens, so I guess that means that the Sentry Guns sequence from the special edition won't be included, which is a shame because I think it's actually probably my favourite sequence in the film, or one of my favourite action sequences of the film is the Sentry Gun sequence. But I'm really looking forward, and I hope there's a bit of Q&A around Aliens as well. I know Michael's probably answered the same questions at least 300 times about it, but if Aliens sold out anyway within a week of tickets going on sale, so I'm not going to try and encourage people to go see it. I'd say if you haven't already seen it, rent it on DVD, watch it on Blu-ray. It's a great movie. I personally think it's James Cameron's best film. Well, I guess there's nothing else to say apart from there'll be a review of Horrorthon going up on the Lost Classics following the festival. Really looking forward to it. I've talked about the highlights. Hopefully there'll be no lowlights. If you're if you're in two minds as to whether to go to any of the films, all I can say is I've been going since 2002, and I have to say the crowd going are just really friendly. There's no major anoraks, no major hassle whatsoever. It's great, and I guess I just want to put a shout out there to Liam Talbot out in New Zealand, who I know he's been going to Horrorthon longer than I have, and he's been living out there like half the country for the last couple of years. So hey Liam, glad you're not here. Have a great one. See you guys.